Hi everyone and welcome to another weekly update. Now before we get into what happened in my week, please let me know in the comments down below how your week has been. I hope you had a great week with a lot of amazing reads, and if there's anything you want to share, definitely do so. Now I also want to apologize that this weekly update has went up one day later. It's currently Monday. Normally I do these weekly updates on Sunday. That's for a couple of reasons. First of all, yesterday I had 2 live shows, and more about that in a minute of course. But I'm also not feeling that great, and it started yesterday, so those 2 live shows are already a little bit taxing, and I didn't want to also film a video, and I hoped that today I was going to be a little bit better. Fortunately, that's not the case, so if you see me sweating or anything like that, I'm sorry, but I do hope that I will improve in the next couple of days. So that's why this was one day later. Now, I did get 2 books in the mail, and I do want to show them because these are pre-orders. I've been waiting for them for a while, so I'm very happy that I finally have them. The first one is one that you will have seen if you watched my May TBR video, and that is Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. So this is an author of whom I have read one book before, The Raven and the Reindeer. I really enjoyed that one, and this is her original fairy tale. It's a little bit darker, but I also think with some funny moments, so I'm looking forward to reading this one in May. And then the other book that I received, I will hopefully be reading this one in June because I do like to prioritize these new releases, and that is Electra by Jennifer Saint. So Jennifer Saint has written Ariadne, that was a new release of last year. She writes Greek myth retellings apparently, and Ariadne maybe wasn't really anything special. It was not extremely original, but because I don't really know the original myths that well, I don't mind, and I really enjoyed Ariadne. And I think that maybe the same will be said for Electra. Now, I don't know anything about Electra, so I'm actually quite excited, and I absolutely adore this cover. I love blue covers. Blue. This is green. I love green covers, and I don't think that we see them nearly enough in fantasy, so yes, very excited for this one as well. Now, last week I actually finished 2 books, and those are also the 2 books for which I had live shows, and the first one that I finished was Red Country by Joe Abercrombie. So this is the 3rd standalone in the First Law universe. I read this together with Jose and Steve, and we also had a discussion together, and this one was actually a very nice discussion to have because I absolutely adored this book. Jose didn't like it at all, and I think that Steve quite enjoyed it. So it was very fun to hear these different opinions and have a discussion about them. Now, after that discussion, we did realize that some of us were getting burnt out on the series, so we have decided to have a small break, and we will be reading Sharp Ends, which is a collection of short stories, in July. So that means no First Law book for May or June. So actually I had Sharp Ends on my May TBR, but that's not going to happen. And to be honest, I'm not that upset about it because I actually have a lot of books on my TBR, and next month in June we will have a meetup for the 3rd book of Malazan, Book of the Fallen. I think that will happen in the beginning of June. So if I have a little bit of time over at the end of May and I can already start that book, that wouldn't be a very big disaster. Actually, I would prefer it that way. And then also Steve actually finally made me decide to pick up The Darkness That Comes Before, which is the first book in the Prince of Nothing series, also in June. So in June a lot is happening, so that I'm not reading a First Law book in May or in June. Maybe it's for the best at this point. Now, the other book that I finished last week was actually Priest of Bones by Peter McLean. This is the first book in the War for the Rose Throne, and I read this together with Steve and Taylor from Made Between the Pages. We also had a discussion yesterday, and I will link both of those, of course, in the description box down below. This one was a fun read. It's grimdark, of course, but it's very different from the grimdark that I normally read. It's much more fast-paced. It's low on the fantasy side, and it's basically Peaky Blinders, but add fantasy, and it does have its original story further on, but you can definitely see the influences and some of the characters that are very similar to the characters that we have in Peaky Blinders. But I absolutely adore that show, so I'm not complaining. I like this first one, but I do hope that the world opens up a bit more in the second one. So I'm quite curious to see what happens, but the second book in this series is also one that, of course, I have on my May TBR, because for this read-along, we are reading 1 book per month. And then, of course, I also started 2 books, so 1 physical read and 1 audiobook. And the physical read is one that I've been wanting to pick up for a while as well. That is The Justice of Kings by Richard Swan. So this is a new release, and it's actually quite different from the new releases that I've been picking up lately. Most of them are myth retellings, folklore, very fairy tale-esque. This is more traditional fantasy. It's definitely dark. It's not grimdark or anything like that, but it's darker than the very traditional fantasy like The Fateful Lord and The Fallen, for example, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I can definitely understand The Witcher comparisons, and I love The Witcher, so I want to see more what happens. It seems like at this point we have a mystery that's going to evolve, and we will see. I'm at this point maybe 50 pages in, so it's too soon to really have a a very clear opinion about the book, but so far I'm enjoying it, and most of all I'm really enjoying the writing style, which is always a plus. And then the audiobook that I have started is Dragonhaven by Robin Hobb. So this is the second book in the Rainwild Chronicles. It immediately takes off after the events of the first book, and the first and the second book really feel like one book. So I'm not that far in to have an opinion. It's very similar to my opinion from the first book, but it seems like maybe more things are going to start happening in this one already. So I'm here for it. I really like the audiobooks for this series, and so far I'm really enjoying the series as well. Now then, what happened on the channel? So first of all, of course, I had those 2 live shows yesterday, then I also had 2 videos going up. The first one was my Q1 stats and goals check-in, and I really enjoyed it. I like having my stats and goals, and I like doing those calculations and seeing how I progress throughout the year, but I don't really know how I'm going to show that to all of you moving forward, because it seems like the format that I'm using right now, not a lot of people enjoy, and that's absolutely fine, but I just need to think about what would be best to do moving forward. So if you have any input, of course, you're more than welcome to let me know how you would like to see it. Of course, I also have that Q1 ranking list where I rank all the books that I have read in the first quarter, so maybe I should combine those 2 videos. I don't really know, but I need to think about that some more. And the other videos that went up were my May TBR video. And yeah, if you've seen that one, you know that I have a lot of books that I want to read in May. Now, that was everything that happened on my own channel, but last week I also had a lot of fun collaborations with other booktubers. The first one was with Jonathan over at Words in Time, and we had a very fun and just very interesting video. I really liked being a part of it, where I recommended 5 fantasy books and he recommended 5 sci-fi books. That's also a pretty short video, so if you want to watch it, I will link it in the description box down below, and especially if you want to see some more sci-fi, because I'm quite new to sci-fi, and sometimes I don't really know what to pick up, but I think that Jonathan had some great recommendations. And then Friday evening, I was on Steve's channel. He wanted to bring back those Friday conversations. I love them. We just talk about nothing basically. Mostly, of course, it's book related because we're all book lovers. And he put together an all-star cast. So we had Jimmy over at the Fantasy Network, we had Philip Chase, and we had Mike over at Mike's Book Reviews. So that was a lot of fun. I was a little bit starstruck, I must say, because a lot of these channels I have watched from before. I had my own booktube channel. Mike, I've said this a couple of times before, he was actually the first booktuber that I've watched, and I've watched all of his backlog, and he was the one who got me into booktube. So it was very fun to be on a live together. Now, that was most of what I wanted to say for next week. Of course, I want to have my April wrap-up up, but I don't know if that's going to happen because it depends on if I get worse or if I get better. So of course, that's one that I hope I can upload, and I think that I will be able to finish the Justice of Kings, so then the wrap-up of the last 3 new releases that I have read will also be up. If I am too bad to film and I look horrible and it's not really okay to be on camera, I will probably postpone some of those and have my Way of Kings vlog up, because all of those scenes I have already shot and now I just need to edit them. So it depends on how I feel for which videos you will be getting next week. I also want to mention one more thing, and that is that a couple of weeks ago I did a giveaway because I hit 1000 subscribers, and Jeroen over at Krab bij Kas won that one, and he actually did an unboxing, and I will also link that video down below. It was very fun to see somebody so happy with what I got him, so definitely check out that video as well. That's everything that I wanted to mention. As I said, I hope that your next week will also be great. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and see you next time. Bye!